The ego's special relationship. Why most relationships don't last. Based on A Course in Miracles teachings. Let's first take a quick, brief look at the benefits of meditation. Breathing affects the nervous system, brainwave patterns, the lymphatic system, blood flow, blood pressure, the heart, our emotional state, and more. In addition, we can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, yet we can only survive for 3 minutes without oxygen. That's how critical oxygen, or breathing, is. In addition to that, Dr. Masaru Emoto of Japan proved in experiments that water responds very differently in extremely dissimilar ways to positive and negative words. So the oxygen we take in from our environment, our breathing, and the thoughts we think are very important. Meditation context. Keeping your attention on or in your body will keep you in the present moment. All guilt, regret, resentment, and anger is based on the past. All worry, anxiety, and fear is centered on some point in the future. In the present moment, none of that fear-based negativity exists. The Course in Miracles text is 1,754 pages long, and the main premise is nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Each of my meditation videos will all have from 7 to 10 A Course in Miracles quotations, and after each quotation, I will have a short meditation. Here is the first Course in Miracles quotation. Quotation. In looking at the special relationship, it is necessary first to realize that it involves a great amount of pain. Anxiety, despair, guilt, and attack all enter into it, broken into by periods in which they seem to be gone. All these must be understood for what they are. Whatever form they take, they are always an attack on the self to make the other guilty. A Course in Miracles. We're going to use the 4-7-8 method. The 4-7-8 breathing technique involves breathing in for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, and then exhaling for 8 seconds. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. Whenever you are angry, you can be sure that you have formed a special relationship which the ego has blessed, for anger is its blessing. Anger takes many forms, but it cannot long deceive those who will learn that love brings no guilt at all, and what brings guilt cannot be love and must be anger. A Course in Miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. Quotation. Specialness is the function that you gave yourself. always attacked and always furious, with anger always fully justified, you have pursued this goal with vigilance you never thought to yield, an effort that you never thought to cease. And all this grim determination was for this. You wanted specialness to be the truth. A Course in Miracles. In-breath. Hold. Out-breath. Quotation. And thus it, the ego, embarks upon an endless, unrewarding chain of special relationships forged out of anger and dedicated to but one insane belief, that the more anger you invest outside yourself, the safer you become. A Course in Miracles. In-breath. Hold. Out-breath. Quotation. All idols of this world were made to keep the truth within from being known to you, and to maintain allegiance to the dream that you must find what is outside yourself to be complete and happy. A Course in Miracles. In-breath. Hold. Out-breath. Quotation. The truth could never be attacked, and this you knew when you made idols. They were made that this might be forgotten. You attack but false ideas, and never truthful ones, and you attack them for the things you think they represent. What lies beyond them cannot be attacked. A Course in Miracles. In-breath. Hold. Out-breath. Quotation. It is vain to worship idols in the hope of peace. God dwells within, and your completion lies in Him. No idol takes His place. Look not to idols. A Course in Miracles. In-breath. Hold. Out-breath. Quotation. All anger is nothing more than an attempt to make someone feel guilty, and this attempt is the only basis the ego accepts for special relationships. A Course in Miracles. In-breath. Hold. Out-breath. Quotation. You have but little difficulty now in realizing that the thought system a special relationship protects is but a system of delusions. You recognize, at least in general terms, that the ego is insane, yet the special relationship still seems to you somehow to be different. A Course in miracles. In breath. Hold. Out breath. The title of this video given at the beginning of this meditation was Why Most Relationships Don't Last. The quotations that best elaborate on this will be shown here now. The text that I highlighted in green says, in looking at the special relationship, it is necessary first to realize that it involves a great amount of pain, anxiety, despair, guilt, and attack all enter into it. This quotation appears to be saying that when it comes to the ego's special relationships, they all fail because they involve a great amount of pain, such as anxiety, despair, guilt, and attack. Again, the title of this video given at the beginning of this meditation was Why Most Relationships Don't Last. And the text that I highlighted in green says, whenever you are angry, you can be sure that you have formed a special relationship which the ego has blessed. The quotation here seems to be implying that when you are in a relationship and experience anger, you can be assured that you are involved in the ego's special relationship. Again, the title of this video given at the beginning of this meditation was Why Most Relationships Don't Last. And the text that I highlighted in green says, specialness is the function that you gave yourself, always attacked and always furious, with anger always fully justified. This quotation is speaking of specialness being a function that you gave yourself through the ego, and that it results in perceiving yourself as always being attacked, furious, and angry, which your ego always finds justification for. And again, the title of this video given at the beginning of this meditation was Why Most Relationships Don't Last. And the text that I highlighted in green says, all anger is nothing more than an attempt to make someone feel guilty, and this attempt is the only basis the ego accepts for special relationships. The quotation here states that making the other person feel guilty is the goal of anger, and this is what the ego has in mind when it comes to special relationships, guilt and anger. And I would add to that control as well. Space Eternity Meditation. We're going to take an imaginary trip with your consciousness, and during this imaginary trip, we'll leave your body behind. To begin, see yourself standing in a large grass field. You've been given the ability to travel into space and to go anywhere you like. You don't have to worry about oxygen, collisions, or anything else, because only your consciousness will be traveling into space. You now have the intention and decide to go straight up into the sky. You are now flying up into the clouds. You then decide to pause and take a look around. You look down and see cities, streets, towns, and hills. Now you have the intention and decide to continue flying straight up. You are now in outer space, and it's mostly darkness with lights from stars and distant planets. You then slow down, pause to a standstill, and take a look around. At this point, you decide to go straight ahead in a horizontal direction. Meteors, planets, and other phenomena are racing by you. You then slow down, pause to a standstill, and take a look around. You again decide to continue in the same direction. You continue, and you have now traveled a significant distance while moving extremely fast. You then think to yourself, when will I reach the end of this universe or of this solar system? How will I know when I've gone as far as I can possibly go? You then realize that either there is an upcoming wall of some sort, or space just continues on. And you think to yourself, if there is some sort of a wall ahead of me, what about straight above me? Is there some sort of a wall there too? And what about straight below me and behind me? Is this universe or solar system contained in some sort of a box? Is outer space confined by a box with walls? And if so, what is behind the walls of this box? You think to yourself, if outer space is confined by a box and I go through one of the walls of the box into outer space again, then when does that space end? Is there another box enclosing the box that I just exited from? You then realize that the only thing that makes sense is that there are no walls or boxes in outer space, that space just keeps on going endlessly for an infinite distance. You realize that infinity is the only thing that makes sense when it comes to outer space. Okay, we're going to do a timelessness meditation. And again, take long, slow, deep breaths, but very relaxed. Don't make an effort of it. Okay, we're going to take a look at time now. To begin, see yourself standing on a long, almost endless sandy beach. You hear a loud, gentle, kind voice, and it says, each grain of sand on this beach is equal to a 100-year lifetime. And there are millions of beaches just like this one, with trillions of grains of sand on each one. How many lifetimes do you think you have? You have an infinite number of lifetimes for all of eternity. As you breathe in, see your consciousness diving down into a grain of sand. As you dive down into it, you see that everything is large, and you see that it resembles planet Earth. There are oceans and mountains and vegetations within this grain of sand that you just took a dive into. You keep diving down into the single grain of sand and feel as though you've been there before. It starts to look very familiar. You then realize that you will be starting a new life there, an entire new lifetime from birth to death. And you remember what you were told, that each grain of sand is equivalent to one lifetime, and that there are millions of beaches with trillions of grains of sand on each beach. You begin to sense what timelessness is. You begin to understand how time can just keep going on and continue endlessly, just like outer space. You realize that you are not the body that you see, that you instead are the spirit that surrounds the body. You remember that you've been told that you are energy, and that energy cannot be created or destroyed. You realize that you are an infinite being living in a timeless universe with no end. The body is just a costume.